Hello you, it's me. And this video is a little bit different. Um, I wanted to talk about what drew me to Amberlynn Reid and why I watched for so long. And we'll just start it. There's a lot of parallels to her life and mine, a lot of things that I could relate to. And that's really the main reason. First topic is reading. She always claimed to be reading all the time. I didn't actually start reading till I was in my late 20s, but then I just never stopped. I constantly read, and I love reading comic books. I love getting suggestions to comic books, or comic books. I call them that. I don't care if they're illustrated stories or whatever fancy name, they're comics. And I love them, and I read a lot of them. And I thought it was really interesting that she supposedly also read them. Never one for romance, so I don't appreciate any Steele novels. But I thought that was interesting. Another thing that attracted me to her is her abusive childhood. I cannot imagine what it's like to have two drugged out parents and having to go into foster care. Sounds very scary. I, on the other hand, had two parents that had really bad mental issues that weren't on medications. Well, actually, my dad was for his asthma. He was on steroids a lot, so he had a lot of anger issues. But I ended up staying in the home because we were very upper middle class. And although I looked like I lived on the streets because they very rarely bought me any clothes or anything to keep up with my hygiene, I did my best. I looked like a rat, and like a wet rat all the time. And they were so busy, my parents, living their own lives and doing their own thing, that they didn't really pay attention to me. And when they did pay attention, my father would let me know how disappointed he was in me, how I would never live up to any of his expectations. And my mother just found me as competition, especially as they got a little bit older, started, looking more like a woman instead of a child. And she was extremely jealous, and that culminated in a lot of really bad things. So her abusive childhood, I can understand to a degree because I also was abused and neglected, and it sucked. Another thing that attracted me to her channel was her wanting to lose weight. At the time that I started watching her around 2017, I was in a very bad situation. I was sick all the time. I had horrendous migraine headaches that would last for 4 or 5 days, not just, an hour and I rested or something. And I was miserable. I gained a lot of weight, and I was just a miserable person. So watching her trying, quote unquote, to lose weight and do better in her life was nice to see. Although as time went on, there really wasn't much of that to see. Another thing that attracted me to her is her talking about sign language. I, at one point, wanted to be an interpreter. So I took a class at a local college, and I learned a lot. And when she was talking about how she knew the alphabet, so she would sign under the table and all that, I didn't do anything under the table, but I was told by my instructor a good way of learning how to sign is to listen to music and then sign the words from the songs. So I did a lot of that. I did that for years. And, stuff happens and it ended up going to the wayside. But I've always been interested in sign language. I still like to look at people on YouTube who teach it and try to learn something once in a while. It's kind of fun. Another thing that seemed to be a huge thing for her and a huge lie from her was dance. I went to a nice little dance school in my hometown for about, oh, probably 9 or 10 years. And I learned tap, ballet, gymnastics, and we did a lot of performances around town for, an uh, old age home, or I don't know. They set up a lot of recitals in different parts of town. So I did a lot of dance and I choreographed a lot of things when I got older, but it was mostly just for myself and my friends. Once I stopped going to the school to dance, um, it was just something that my friends and I did. We had a good time with it. We didn't do any performances. It was just fun. But I love how she always talks about that and how she won all these, first place in all of these contests and things. I don't think I was ever in a contest. It was just recitals, just going different places and dance. Um, but then again, I'm not really a person who likes competition, because if I don't do well, then I'm devastated. So I kind of avoid it, to be honest. So there was that. Also, her passion for journals, I understand that because I too am a writer. I've actually had some stuff published, and I've done a lot of ghostwriting. Um, but I understand, oh, this is a cute journal. I want this, I want that. I've never collected them. I always had a rule, and the rule was that I buy one, use it till it's full, and then I could buy another one. So I've got several, but they're all full, except for, of course, my most recent one, which is about half full. I don't write in it as often. I don't physically write a lot. I do a lot more on my computer. And what I do is I type it out, and then I'll print it so that if my computer dies, I still have a copy of what I wrote. And this is a result of losing a lot of stuff because of having a bad computer. Anyway, so I understand her interest. I love paper. I have a favorite pen that I use. My favorite pen is a Pilot G2. I like it at 0.38 because I like a really tiny tip, because that way you can write small and it's still legible. And my handwriting is questionable at times, especially if I'm writing fast. So, and I'm also left-handed, which Amber is as well. And so I like a small tip so that I can read what I wrote later. It's if it's legible enough for me, that's good enough. Sometimes it's not. But her being left-handed, my being left-handed, both of us writers, supposedly, that was another reason that kind of drew me in, especially when she would talk about how she wanted to publish her poetry or whatever. And honestly, I would like to see her do that. I think that would be interesting. I might even buy it, just because I like to support other writers, even if their writing isn't great. I still like to do it. What else? I think that's really it. But there are a lot of parallels in her life to my life. And I think the whole Tommy thing kind of hit hard for me in a sense, not because of her necessarily, but because I know that I've made a lot of bad choices. I've been attracted to people, and I felt that kind of desperation of not wanting to be alone, where you stay in a relationship that you know is probably not great because you don't want to be alone. But the difference between her and I is, one, I got out of them anyway. I'd much rather be alone than be with an abusive person. And once I realized they were being abusive, I left immediately. Second thing, I'm not desperate anymore. I don't care, honestly. Just gets to a point where you're so used to being alone, you just kind of go with it and you don't think about it. And also, Amber is in a different situation in her life than I am. I definitely feel like, even though I am, what, 20 years older than her, um, I think I'll outlive her. I think I think she's not doing very well, and that could be part of her desperation. I think that she's very unhealthy. She needs someone to help take care of her. And that's why, even though Tommy um, would bring her to her demise, possibly, um, she would make Amber feel cared for, which is what I think Amber needs. I think that's why she's desperate. And I think that I've heard a lot of people say she probably didn't break up with Tommy, especially based with the video. If you watch it, it's like she's looking at someone talking to someone. And I think they're probably right about that. I think Tommy is still in the picture, and she will be hidden so that we don't, quote unquote, know, even though we do, like with Wifey. Um, but I think she just desperately needs that. She needs somebody. And Tommy seems kind and nice. I don't know if she would be abusive. She seems like she would be abusive in the same way that Amber would be abusive. So maybe they'll balance each other out. I don't know. But anyway, that's what brought me. What brought me to Amber was the weight loss. Oh, and the try-on hauls, because I had gained a lot of weight, and I wanted to see other people that looked nice, that were bigger, like I was bigger. Um, and then all the other things, I could relate to her in these ways. Um, but I just feel like now it's a waste of time. It's a waste of my time to watch her, because she's not really doing anything. She's certainly not inspirational. Um, I don't feel like she wants to do better. And it's just kind of a negative that I don't want to see. Um, will I check in from time to time? Maybe. But I doubt it. I don't really check in on Foodie that much anymore. Like I said, I'll watch an update video once in a while, but it's all really disappointing. And I hate to say depressing, because I mean, I guess it is. It's sad to see people who don't care about themselves and just watching them pass on. I never really watched Jen that much, but I was watching at the end because I was really hopeful that things could turn around, and they didn't. And I see the same exact thing with Chantal and with Amber, and I just don't want to watch it anymore. I have loved Coral World, but I'm so done. I'm just so done. I'll still be doing videos, and I've always done videos of other people, and I will continue to do that. I don't have a big following, and that's okay. If you want to listen, great. I appreciate it. It's nice to talk and know that at least someone's listening. But yeah, Amber and Chantal and Anna, I, I'm just done. I'm just done. I hope they turn it around. It would be really nice to revisit in a year and see Amber has lost a couple 100 pounds. Chantal maybe lost 100 pounds, maybe back in Canada, dating some hot Middle Eastern guy in her own town. It'd be nice to see Anna be more honest, and her losing some weight as well. and not just with surgery, but actually eating healthy and all that. I would love to see all of them. Whether I like them or not, I always want to see people succeed, even if it makes me mad. I would still like to see them succeed in some way, but none of them have. Although Anna, I guess she's a lot more spry than the other two, but they really have not done anything. Certainly Amber and Chantal especially. So maybe I will revisit in a year and see what goes on. But for now, I'm done. And I hope you'll continue watching videos from me. And if not, I understand too. And I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, morning. And that's all I gotta say.